Hi, this is Steve the Grumpy Hypnotist. Today's video I'm going to share unsolicited comment from a recent client that I helped with a pretty timely, relevant issue these days, which is the fear of needles, fear of injections, inoculations, vaccinations, fear of getting blood drawn, which of course is pretty timely given the pandemic and the vaccination efforts going on. Now, this isn't I'm not going to get into like pandemic politics, vaccinations, wisdom of all these things. This is about people who want to get vaccinated, but have had a long-standing fear of needles, which is actually pretty common. So I'm just going to share comments here and comment on them in the meantime. So, of course, in a situation like that, person who's in that kind of scenario, they're kind of stuck in the middle, right? Because, but with hypnosis, yeah, it's possible to resolve that so that they can do the thing that will help them feel safer in the end. But as it says here, and this is in her language, my phobia has been a huge obstacle in my life for as long as I can remember, since early childhood. I've always gone out of my way to avoid needles, not only getting them, but even seeing images of them. If I so much as caught a momentary glimpse of a needle, I would have an instant panic response. I would feel a cold chill, my heart would beat quicker, and I would feel weak and faint. It got to the point where I couldn't even look at a needle emoji on my phone without discomfort. But after doing hypnosis with Steve, I'm now able to see images and even video of people receiving vaccines on TV, with only a small bit of discomfort and without the panic reactions I had before. Sometimes I even Google image search needles just to test myself. I've been using the needle emoji unnecessarily just because I can. See? And she put some needle emojis in this email she sent me. A great attitude and sense of humor as well, which is useful actually. But that part reminds me of, similarly, well, every type of phobia is slightly different, but it reminds me of a client I helped with a phobia of snakes, fear of snakes. And to give you a sense of the extent of sometimes this type of phobia is, she had bought a house and was considering selling the house, relocating, because she found that the garden, her backyard or whatever, there's a lot of snakes there. Completely harmless garden snake type things, but she had such a powerful fear of snakes that she was actually considering moving. So that tells you the extent of this type of sheer terror sometimes. But it reminds me of what this client here with her like using needle emojis and exposing herself to them and actually making jokes about it, kind of. It reminds me of that snake phobia client because just after doing the work with her, she was out of luck or something, I guess. One of her friends posted something on Facebook of her friend was playing with some vacation thing with like one of those big snakes that they put around her neck or something, these giant boa constrictor type of things. So she was doing some tourist vacation thing and shared that video, her friend did. And my other client with that snake phobia said that when she saw that, it just came up in her Facebook feed. When she saw that, instead of, having this sheer terror reactivated, she watched the video, and I think she even said she liked it. Like, not liked it, like, oh, she liked seeing the snake. But because it was her friend on vacation, she did the like thing, like, oh, that's nice, type of thing. So it kind of reminds me of that, where even if people are in daily life exposed to things that remind them of whether it's a needle, a snake, or something, they just have a different response to it if we do the work. So continuing here, before this, I had done some talk therapy, some cognitive behavioral therapy, and some hypnosis from another hypnotist in my attempts to get this phobia under control. But I redacted this part here because I didn't think the detail was relevant, even though she gave permission to share this entire email. But like with Steve, has totally turned things around for me. I was recently able to get not one, but 2 doses of the COVID vaccine. I never would have been ready to make the appointment, let alone go and actually do it without the help. Since we started these sessions, I've seen such a huge fundamental change in the way I'm navigating the world. I was so mortally terrified of needles in such an obsessive way that it would lead me to avoid so many things. I was constantly worried about being confronted with my fear. I avoided doctors at all costs, and I spiraled into this mindset that led me to neglect my health. I'm getting a little emotional even typing this because I've had a lot of very dark moments struggling with this phobia when I worried that it would control me for the rest of my life. Now, if you think about the thing about needles, and even extending it to doctors, also help people with, even if it's not some penetrative thing like a needle going to your body, whether it's getting your blood pressure taken. It's when people have fear of just in general, like going to doctor's exam or getting blood pressure taken, especially. That again puts people in a bind, because if you have that fear, it interferes with the results from the blood pressure exam. So I've helped clients where they were on the verge of being diagnosed with certain problems related to blood pressure, but it was completely situational. Like if they were at home, well, I don't know how accurate home blood pressure monitors are, but if they were at the doctor's getting a checkup or something, or undergoing some procedure, at that time the blood pressure reading would indicate that they had a problem, a cardiovascular problem, but at other times in different settings, they'll be fine. So that's an example of how these issues can actually fundamentally alter how people approach like their health, like going to see a doctor, that kind of thing. And it's also a note here, this client noted that she'd done like talk therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy in particular. That's always a good thing. I always think it's a good sign when clients are looking into hypnosis after at least having made some attempt to do things like talk therapy, especially CBT, are currently doing that type of work, because that takes care, I think, if it's competent therapy of any sort, really, that takes care of more of the conscious side of things, like the skills, the tools. Therapy should provide tools for being able to manage thoughts and feelings and life in general, really. But I think that's a good setup, because that takes care of that side of things, and then hypnosis addresses more the not like consciously like making use of tools or like breathing exercises. That's all good, but hypnosis, I think, is more about like the instant, automatic, reflexive, reactive type of things, which has to do with the fight or flight response a lot of times. So it's probably a good thing that this client had done some sort of therapy, or at least was willing to do that. One thing I'm cautious about is when people are doing hypnosis and they're trying to use hypnosis as like a substitute, and they're trying to avoid therapy. That's not a good sign. That's not a good setup, because you're going to have to deal with things one way or the other, unfortunately. So, well, not unfortunately, but you just have to. So, sorry. But anyway, getting back to this last paragraph here, it's almost hard to believe that I just got 2 shots in 1 month, and I walked away from it feeling okay. Not great, but okay. And that's a key thing too. With all the phobic types of things that I help people with, of all different types, I can't really think of an instance where people came in and then they got better, and then they suddenly became excited about the thing that they were afraid of before. I mean, as in this example, this client clearly can post things like needle emojis. It's pretty cool, I guess, just for fun and just to challenge yourself a little bit. But that's kind of like total 180 compared to the initial state. And the point is, with this work, we don't really have to make people like love needles or love the idea of getting injections, or not to make people love snakes or spiders or that kind of thing. But as this client describes, that's okay. What an improvement that is over the petrified state I'm accustomed to. Having had this experience, I feel like I could do anything. My fear isn't gone, but it's not an out-of-control monster anymore. I haven't gone to get a real checkup in years, but now I finally feel confident enough to find a doctor and make an appointment. And what a huge relief that is. So my quality of life has been seriously changed for the better. So yeah, that ending kind of again describes how this type of phobia can really be an obstacle to doing things that would actually reduce risk in the long run, like getting a checkup once in a while, getting vaccinations. And but by dealing with that, then if someone is already anxious, it also helps to reduce the dread of, well, I haven't seen a doctor in like 20 years or something like that. It helps to reduce the anxiety of like not having gotten things checked out in that way. So plus it, as it actually kind of alludes to here, does kind of create a sense of self-efficacy. And self-efficacy is just, one definition of it is just the sense of being able to handle things. But just the fact that with whatever hypnosis did for her, what was important is that she took that and then actually went and got these things done. So, and even after the first one, during the process, it wasn't like, I felt nothing, I had no fear, no fearless type of thing. There's still some fear involved, but went and did it, and without getting into details, there were some things about that experience that actually challenged her further, and we took that, worked off of that, and she got the second shot done, which sometimes, going back to something like that, some people can respond with more fear, but clearly she got it done, got taken care of, and now she's able to post needle emojis on here. So, but I use as an example of how things can work out pretty well, and also not just getting over like the specific phobic thing, getting a shot, getting it taken care of. That can have like larger effects in terms of like confidence, the self-image of self-efficacy, being able to handle things, and in practical terms, the end result being reducing the risk of actually something bad happening, which is kind of like good for people who are anxious to be able to do. Right? So once again, it's Steve the Grumpy Hypnotist. And I hope this was of interest to you. And like I mentioned, it is kind of timely and relevant these days. So, feel free to look on my website, centercityhypnosis.com. A lot more information there. But, okay, thanks.